Draymond Green certainly raising the bar for the Golden State Warriors. Listen to what he said his Warriors will do the rest of the season.
I'm sorry. I said I think we're going to win a championship, but I lied. We are going to win the championship.
Wow.
Because I don't believe any of these teams are that great. Boston, yes, you got to go through Boston. You got to get through the champs. But we got to get through the West first. But none of these teams scare me. I'm going to follow Jimmy Butler. I'm going to follow Steph Curry. And we're going to follow those two guys right to a championship.
Bobby Marks, Udonis Haslem with us. All right, so you heard it. UD, your former teammate, you believe what he's saying there? He says he's going to help basically Jimmy Butler lead them back to the championship and win it all again this year.
Well, two things can be true. Draymond can be smart as hell and crazy as hell at the same time. There's no way that they win a championship. There's no way they win a championship this year. But what I will say is adding Jimmy Butler has unlocked Steph Curry to a tremendous level right now. He's actually leading the league in points. He's leading the league in field goals. He's leading the league in three-pointers made since the trade. So, yes, he raises the level of Steph Curry, unlocks him, but this is not the year for them.
Bobby, your thoughts on what Draymond had to say?
Well, listen, if we're basing it off the 4 games since the Butler trade, I think there's an argument to be made, but the reality is it's an 82-game schedule here, and this Golden State team, there's a lot of work to do. When you look at the standings today, they're in the 10th seed right now. 6 out of their 8 games are on the road coming out of the break here. I think we'll learn a lot about this team against Sacramento. That's the team that's in front of them in the standings. They got to get out of that 9-10 hole. If they're going to make a run, they got to get closer to 6, even stay in that 7 to 8 seed range.
So, UD, let me ask you something. Your Miami Heat squad with Jimmy Butler playing, got it to the championship. Why can't he do the same with Golden State?
Because that team was a group of guys that had a chip on your shoulder, and we used to use the motto is the chip will make you a monster. So that was a team full of have-not guys who felt like if we can get teams in the mud, we can grind it out and we can beat any team in a 7-game series. That was the makeup of that group and of that team. I just don't think that they have that makeup in that group right now in Golden State. But what I will say is they are one player, one move away from actually being a championship team. But there's too many teams in front of them that just have too much ground to make up right now. You can't take away what OKC is doing. You can't take away what Houston has been able to do. You can't take away the big move that the Lakers made and what they've been able to do in the last couple of weeks. So it's just too much ground for them to make up right now, I think.
Okay, Bobby Marks, do you think Steph's championship window is closed then?
Well, I thought it was closed before the trade. I think it's slightly open right now. I don't think it's going to be this year, though, if there's going to be another championship for Steph Curry. I think, as UD said, there's got to be another move to be made, and it's likely going to be this offseason. We haven't even seen Jonathan Kuminga and kind of how he fits with this group, and who's a restricted free agent is going to look for a big payday this offseason.
All right, let's stay in the West, guys, and let's talk about the Lakers. While the future looks to be headed in a new direction there in L.A., LeBron was asked if Luka could help extend his career. Take a listen.
No, I have not given it that type of thought. Just the excitement of being able to add a caliber player like that, a generational talent like that to our franchise, is something that's given me energy. And, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. I think we only had, 2 games? 2 games so far. So, as we continue to, get into form, as he continues to get in form, I think we could be really good going down the stretch, but we see what happens.
So, UD, you know LeBron very well from you guys' time in Miami. Do you think Luka can help LeBron get one last title?
I definitely think so. I think offensively, they'll work that out. LeBron is the ultimate teammate. He's played with Dwayne Wade. He's played with Kyrie Irving. So offensively, he'll make Luka comfortable. Can they maintain the defensive intensity and the defensive mindset that they have? We saw last year what Boston was able to do with Luka and put him in a lot of different situations defensively. So for me, can they maintain that defensive focus? I love the versatility that they have on the wing. They have Hachimura, they have Finley Smith, so they have length on the wing. The problem will be if they run into the Denver Nuggets with Jokic or if they run into the OKC combination of Chet and Hartenstein. That's where I think they'll have problems.
All right, Bobby, along those lines, you hear what UD just say. Do the Lakers have enough, let's say, length, bigs, to challenge the elite teams in the West?
No, they don't. They did have that big in Mark Williams before they rescinded that trade. And I think when you look at this Lakers team, UD hit it on the head. Man, you're going to have to go through Oklahoma City or Denver or even with Memphis with Jaren Jackson and Zach Edey here. So that's the biggest concern for me as far as size for this Lakers team getting out of the Western Conference.
So then, UD, let me go back to you about the Lakers. Do they need to change the way they play instead of LeBron make Luka the focal point?
Not at all. I think you continue to play the way you play. I think that's a conversation for LeBron to have with Luka Doncic. I've seen those situations where we would land in a different city and LeBron or Dwayne would grab his iPad, he would go to LeBron's room and he would have those conversations. Hey, this is what I can do for you. This is where I need you to be your best version. This is how I can help you be your best version. And those guys work that out. So that's a conversation that your best two players are going to have, and the other guys in the locker room are going to fall behind.
What do you think about that, Bobby?
Well, I'm interested to see what happens with this Lakers team after the All-Star break, because before the break with the 2 games with Luka, he played a lot off the ball. Is the ball going to be more in his hands? Is Usage going to go up here? Is he, certainly Austin Reeves going to defer a little bit more here? I think that's going to be the telltale sign as far as do we get post 40-year-old LeBron and do we get All-Star Luka version here? That's how this team is going to get to a Western Conference Finals or perhaps farther than that.
He says Western Conference Finals. UD, where do you see the ceiling for this Lakers squad?
I definitely see Western Conference Finals. They definitely have the ability to get to the Western Conference Finals. You put yourself in a position where you can get that 4th spot, you get home court in the first round, and then you put yourself in a position in the next round where you continue to grow that offense with Luka and LeBron, knowing that if you can put yourself in game-winning situations, you have 2 of the best 2 closers in the NBA.
Hey, welcome back to Get Up and to the NBA, where mixed reviews continue to come in about that new format from the All-Star game from this past weekend. Biggest issue the players have, and they've brought up, involved the number of breaks between the games and the timing of the games just being too short. In fact, one player who voiced his opinion, you saw him there on the weekend, Kevin Durant, took to social media saying, quote, "I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than to actually watch it. It's crazy. Cancel the All-Star game and let's just give everybody a break since we're so miserable around this time," end quote. Okay, UD, you hear KD, he basically says, you know what, forget about the All-Star game, give the players in the league the whole week off. What do you think?
I got to let you guys know something. As players, we love a little dramatization. That's just KD being a little dramatic right now. I don't think he really means let's cancel the All-Star game. But what I will say is we want to see you guys hoop. It's more fun for everybody to see you guys hoop. And I would like you to take a page out of Ja Morant's book. When Ja Morant tweeted and he said, hey, I'll come out and I'll get in the dunk contest. Mac make me get in the dunk contest. KD's your favorite hooper's favorite hooper. If KD comes out and says, I'm going to compete, I'm going to take an old school mentality in the All-Star game, then I guarantee these young guys will fall in line and these young guys will come out and start hooping. He has that influence and they respect him like that.
Bobby, where you stand on this?
Well, there's part of me wanting to tell Kevin Durant to stay off social media, man. As Coach Saban said, what is it? It's rat poison as far as thinking what people are talking about you. Listen, I understand where Kevin's coming from, and I think he certainly said that tongue-in-cheek, that there's a lot of pressure on these players, or there's a lot of expectations as far as for them to go out and compete like it was the 80s or the 90s, where they're more like looking at this as a celebration. They're looking at this as an exhibition. They're not looking at it like what's going on with Team USA and Canada for hockey. If Kevin's thinking, well, wait a minute, we did that this past summer when we played against France when we were in the Olympics here. So I understand it from Kevin's perspective here, but I do think there is an expectation from the fans, from the people in the media, from just general teams as far as to play better with more effort.
Now, look, not everybody's only offering complaints about the current format. Giannis weighed in on a possible format solution inspired by the 4 nations and what we're seeing in the NHL. The NBA, he says, considering, let's say, a USA versus a world team format. Take a listen.
I would love that. And for sure, like I'll take pride to that. I always compete, but like I think that will give me a little bit more extra juice. Having like Shea, Jokic, Luka, Wemby, Towns, Şengün, like having all those players going against the best US players, I think it'll be fun.
So with that, I'm going to bring in my man PK, again, who's been hanging around with us all morning here talking about some hockey. You heard what Giannis says. He says, hey, I think what we should do is, let's say, the world take on the American players in the NBA. Kind of somewhat sort of what are you doing in the NHL? What do you think?
Well, listen, hockey's a different sport from the NBA. You can't compare the cultures because of the way the game is played. You can step on an NBA floor and go through the emotions. You can't do that in hockey. You can't. Like, the culture of our sport, you have to play it with passion. You have to be willing to fight. You have to be willing to leave it on the ice. That's what fans are investing in. So for us, when we charge $1,500 for a ticket to come to fans know what they're getting. Cale Makar, the best defenseman in the world, wasn't in the lineup for this game. This was the most viewed game that we've had in years. And you see it, it's because it's not just based on the skill and talent. It's based on the pride, honor, playing for the guy next to you. I got a question for the NBA players. What the hell are you playing for? What are you playing for? It's not about the money. You make all the money. What, you're injured? Well, there's a difference between being hurt and injured. Are you hurt or are you injured? There's a difference. In hockey, we play hurt. We play injured. That is the culture of the sport. It's always been that way. So you want to talk about the business, the CBA, fans get all of that. But what do fans resonate with? They resonate with what's real. You got to fight sometimes for your country. You got to compete. You got to go out there and leave it on the ice because those people are paying the price of admission. So fans know whether our stars are on the ice or not, they're getting their money's worth. The NBA has that issue that they got to work on. You got to create a better culture for your players. It starts with the leaders. This issue, there was no issue when Jordan was around. There was no issue when Kobe was around. There's no issue when Sidney Crosby is around. There's no issue when Wayne Gretzky was around because those are true leaders. They lead by example. Sidney Crosby, Hockey Canada, those players, both Canada and U.S., it was the players that did that for the four nations. That's not the league. The league set it up, but the players went out there and decided and said, you know what, boys? We're all in. When is the NBA going to do that? Because, I haven't sat down and watched the NBA consistently since Kobe. Since Kobe has died, I have not sat down and watched the NBA consistently. I love basketball, love the players. I think LeBron's great. I think KD's great. Steph Curry, love watching them. But you got to be on the court. You got to be there, and when you're there, you got to go all in. The fans got to feel that they're getting their money's worth. And right now, there's a big difference between what the NHL's doing with those events and what the NBA's doing. Four Nations works because the players are all in. They're all in.
UD, you're a former player, man. Give me your thoughts on what you just heard from PK.
I mean, I would agree. I think the key word that Giannis said is pride, and we got to say that most guys, once they get to All-Star Weekend, they feel like they have nothing to prove. They feel like they've proven enough. This is why I'm an All-Star. But like you said, the mentality of the Michael Jordans, the mentality of the Kobe Bryants, and I said this in the earlier segment, if Kevin Durant comes out and says, I'm going to hoop, I'm going to perform at a high level in the All-Star game, guys will fall in line because he is your favorite hooper's favorite hooper. Guys would not say this, but guys love KD. So many guys pattern their games after KD. And if KD and LeBron James say, hey, you put LeBron aside for me, and I'm going to go at LeBron, and KD says, I'm going to go at LeBron, and Bron says, I'm going to go at KD, guys will fall in line. I love the fact of, hey, let's put Wemby, let's put SGA, let's put Luka, let's put Giannis, let's put all these guys on a different team. Iron sharpens iron.
Can the NBA pull this format off?
I think they can. I don't think you could do it every year. And I think what you can do is you can rotate. It's almost like the Ryder Cup. You kind of rotate on non-Olympic years here. I think the biggest question is, do you have enough stars to comprise a world team? I think the goal is for the NBA is how do you try to replicate what we saw this past summer in France during the Olympics? Even if you can get a sliver of that during the All-Star weekend here, that's a success because that this past summer was as good as basketball that we've seen in a long time.
All right, we'll see what happens here. Got to change the culture here, especially when it comes to the All-Star game.